So, all right. Okay. So we're gonna get started. How's everybody doing today? Everyone's good? Yes. Good. Okay. Good. Good. Yes. Oh, yeah. All right. So thank you everybody for coming out on today. I appreciate that. We're about to get started with the lecture, and let me pull it up. There we go. All right. So now, the name of the lecture is called "The Patriarchal Priesthood in the Bible Unveiled." Right. So before I start, looking at the title, can anybody give me, one or two people, an idea of what do they think that this subject matter is going to be about? Not for the people I shared anything with. Y'all don't raise your hand. I'm not going to call on y'all. But anybody else want to take a shot at what do they think that this subject matter is going to be about today? Somebody, anybody. Because I can't start without your participation. So, anybody? I can call on people too. You know, I have a problem with that. Anybody?
Priesthood starting waiting for.
All right, wait. So what's your name, sir? State your name for the people.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. Okay.
Priesthood starting before we got priests before we married.
Okay, so now he said it's the priesthood that was here before Abraham came on the scene. Interesting. So, do you know what kind of priesthood that may be, my brother, before we jump into this? You have any idea?
The law was always in place, so it had to be priests of Yeshua. I'm just going to.
No, it's good. It's good. All right, I'm gonna get to you, brother. I'm gonna get to you. She had her hand up. Okay, she said Melchizedek. What about you, brother?
It's only 2 orders.
What you said?
It's only 2 orders.
Only 2 orders, you said? Okay. Yashra?
Scripture is talking about his council.
A council.
Yeah, his council.
Interesting, interesting. Okay, I think that was some great feedback. That goes to show me that some people have an idea, but they don't know what's really in here, right? So if you can see, I have a picture. What is this? Does anybody know what this is right here? What's that? What's there? Where is this at? In the temple, right? And what area was this for the Shekinah glory and the Ark of the Covenant? The most holy, right? So now the veil is being broken, right? Not ripped, but it's being broken so we can peep in and see. This is very, very interesting because that was the gateway to the Most High. All right? So now we're going to get started. Now, if nobody knows anything about me, what I'm going to do is give you research and revelation. Research means what you're seeing in here is the whole of my research on this subject matter. Once I present you the research, or as I present you the research, I'm also going to give you the revelation and how I was able to connect the dots. All right? Now, when the Most High showed this to me, it was something very, very unique because I had never thought about it before. Like, I had an idea about it, but I didn't really get in depth about it before. But now, when I did this research, I got the revelation, I was able to connect the dots, and I said, okay, this makes sense. All right, now we have people that's in the audience. We all, most of us, have different ideologies in regards to Israel, right? But what DivineProspect likes to do is I like to give you some concrete information. So what I'm going to share with y'all is some research that's concrete. You can go back and check everything that I'm showing you. So I'm not speaking strictly out of ideology. I'm trying to show you the research and connect the dots to historical research on top of the scriptures themselves so you can get a different perspective or vantage point in regards to what this is. Are y'all ready? Yeah. Are y'all ready? Yeah. All right, here we go. So open it up. The objective of this lecture is, hold on, let me make that a little clearer because that's a little blurry. That better? Yeah. All right. If you don't have a pen and paper, I think you should take some out. It's going to be a lot of heavy information. I'm going to take my time with y'all. A lot of times I go fast through stuff. People say, oh, Devon, can you slow down a little bit? I said, all right, I'll do you a favor. I'll slow down a little bit because I keep forgetting I'm in Georgia. No offense, it's a joke. Things don't slow down. But and I'm from New York, so y'all didn't already know. All right, so the objective of this lecture is to identify historical Semitic priesthood outside of the Bible and its influence on Hebraic culture, to identify the patriarchal priesthood before Moses, to identify the continuation of the patriarchal priesthood lineage from Moses to the Israelite exile, to identify the nullification of the Levitical priesthood, to identify the historical resuming or resumation of the patriarchal priesthood, and lastly, to identify who are the beneficiaries of the patriarchal priesthood during and after the Greek and Roman captivities. Let's move on. So part one, we're going to deal with extra biblical history. How many people in here like concrete history? Y'all do, right? All right. A lot of times what I notice is that some of us that read the Bible, some of us in Israel, we don't really examine history outside the text that influences the things that the individuals in the text are doing. But we have to examine this because it helps put things in a much better light so it can reveal the things that was once hidden. This is very, very important. History is very, very important, okay? So let's see what history that what history you're talking about. All right, so let me get to this. Oh, let me make this a little bit sharper. All right. Now, there's going to be some words on here. I'm not reading everything, but there's some words on here because I'm capturing most of it with the camera so that the camera can see. I'm going to go over some of it with you, and I'm going to move on because I know we pressed for time, all right? So y'all follow me, okay? Follow me, all right. So in order to deal with history, we have to look at Syrian, Palestinian, cultural religious system outside of the Bible. Syria and Palestine, their cultural religious system outside of the Bible. This is very important because a lot of people don't go this in-depth in history to get a full understanding of what a lot of things are taken on in the text. So going over this with you, I'll read some of this. It says Syrian and Palestinian religion beliefs of Syria and Palestine between 3000 BCE and 300 BCE. These religions are usually defined by the languages of those who practice them. And it goes on the list of the Amorites, the Ugaritic, Aramaic, Moabite. The term Canaanite is often used broadly to cover a number of these, as well as the religion of the early periods in areas from which there are no written sources. Now it says here, only from the city-state of Ugarit, from the 14th to 15th century BCE, is there a wide range of religious expression. All right? In general, it appears that there are a few types of prevailing and persisting divine names that happen over the centuries. The most pervasive type was the storm god Hadad, Baal, or Teshub, who was associated with rain, thunder, and lightning. Wonder why Israel kept praying to Baal? Maybe because he was a storm god and it was having droughts. Interesting. All right, let's keep going. All right, consistent with these sorts of documentation, the monarch emerges as a significant medium between God and people, acting on the people's behalf in the cult of the god. Cult just means following of the god, and on the God's behalf in the care of the people. The monarch in earlier times was responsible for being both the king and the priest. You're following me? Okay. Typical temple furniture, right, dedicated to whatever deity that they was worshiping, included cult statues, standing stones, bowls and their stands, altars, benches, etc. And it says here, when we look at history and the artifacts, it says in the Jordan Valley, north of the Sea of Galilee, it yielded a 13th century BC statue of a male deity on a bull-shaped base. The temple was called the House of God. You follow me? Typically, the monarch and sometimes other members of the royal family played a leading role in the most significant cultic acts and festivals. The monarch being the priest and the king. You follow me? All right, let's move. This is outside the scriptures now. The chief deity and father god, his name was El or Al or Il, depending on what vocalization system you utilize. Daniel 7 and 9 says, I kept looking into the throne room setup, and the Ancient of Days took his seat. His vesture was like white snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool. His throne was ablaze with flames. His wheels were burning fire. What we're looking at right here is an artifact of the god El. The god El had horns. Not like the devil. They don't like to tell us the devil has horns. Nowhere in the text. But he has horns because it signifies the bull. We don't get into that. And here's the monarch paying tribute to the seated God, El. Keep this in mind. Move forward. Now, you have to know what henotheism is. I'm not going to read. I'm just going to tell you. Henotheism comes from the Greek word eis, which means one, and theism, which means the belief in a deity. Henotheism means that you have a culture that has a pantheon of gods, and what they do is that they single one god out to be supreme above the other gods. Feeling me? Now, what this means is that they don't neglect the fact that there's other deities there, but they single one out for worship. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because this is what you get when you look at the Syrian-Palestinian Canaanite cultural, religious, spiritual system. You follow me? All right, now, let's look from the culture of those people who El was. It's very important. For the Canaanites in the ancient Levantine region as a whole, El or Il was the supreme God, the father of mankind and all creatures. He also fathered many gods, all right? And it says some of them is Hadad, Yam, Mut. All right, Mut in Hebrew means what? Death. But did you know that that was a Canaanite deity? His name was Mut, and he was responsible for destruction and causing death. Interesting. All right, let's keep reading. It says here, it says El included the supreme god, the Canaanite religion, the supreme god, the Mesopotamian Semites, and the pre-Sargonic period, and the god of the Hebrew Bible. In the Ugaritic myths, El is depicted as a bearded old man, kindly and wise. He's called the father of humankind, the patriarch of the gods, the final power and authority. He's the king of the gods, the owner and chief executive of the world. El is called the bull and is represented iconographically by a bull. Interesting. Then it says Asherah, which was known as his consort, was the progenitor of the gods. We realize when we look in Israel's history, didn't they worship a god called Asherah? And Baal? Interesting. This goes over some more attributes. It goes into Toru, El. Anybody speak Spanish? Toru sounds like what? And Toru was a bull. Interesting. That just means the bull god. The Bat Nau, Ben Wati means the creator of creations. Abu Bani Eli is the father of the gods. Abu Adami means man, right? The earth. Father of man. He's called the creator eternal. The epithet Olam in Hebrew we get eternal. So he's El Olam, the eternal God. El Gibor, which means God the warrior. El Hadad, which is supposed to be his son. That's Baal. Are symbolized by the bull, both with bull horns and headdresses. Though Ugaritic had a large temple dedicated to the god, God meaning fish, the fish god, and another to Hadad, look at this, there was no temple dedicated to El. How are you going to have a supreme deity and y'all ain't got no temples to him? Part of the game is that. Let's move forward, man. Let's move forward. This sounds crazy. Now, y'all can write these books down if you want more history in regard to the Syrian, Palestinian, Canaanite religious systems. One I have is called Archaeology and the Religions of Canaan and Israel by Beth Albert Nakai. All right? Then you have stories from ancient Canaan or Canaan by Michael D. Coogan and Mark S. Smith, and ancient Near Eastern thought and the Old Testament. Now, what this will do is compare to you the Canaanite religious system that I just touched on a little bit in comparison to the biblical religious system. All right? These are some resources. I always like to provide books. People always ask Devon, I want to read this. Here you go. All right, so let's move forward. Now, what is the city of Ugarit? It's very interesting because we just mentioned that most of the information in regards to the Syrian, Palestinian, religious, cultural, spiritual system comes from the city of Ugarit. Now, how many people by a show of hands are familiar with what Ugarit is? Wow. This is good stuff. I'm about to blow your mind. You ready? And so y'all out there at home about to blow your mind. This is good because now I'm giving y'all some academic background. See, in the universities, they don't just take the religion or the culture or the spiritual system of the Bible as being the sole thing. What they do is cultural studies. So they compare what's in what's called the cultural literature of the text to everything else that's in the Canaanite region. So the majority of what I just read to you on El comes from Ugarit. Let's see what Ugarit is. Ugarit is an ancient city lying in a large artificial mound called Ras Shamra. All right? Excavations were done there or began in 1929 by a French archaeological mission under the direction of Claude F.A. Schaeffer. All right? The most prosperous and best documented age in Ugarit's history dated from about 1450 to 1200 BCE. Produced great royal palaces, temples, shrines, with a high priestess library and other libraries on the Acropolis. That means something on top of where the dead is buried, all right? It says, after the discovery of the temple library, which revealed the hereto unknown cuneiform alphabetic script as well as an entirely new mythological and religious literature. It says several other palatial as well as private libraries were found. The exhibitions continue, and each season throws some new and often unexpected light on the ancient North Canaanite religion. Now look at this. Soon after 1200 BCE, Ugaritic came to an end. Its fall coincided with the invasion of the northern and sea peoples, and certainly with earthquakes and famines. Now, where's my brother Benjamin at? Yeah? All right, you go with Kemetic history, right? Let me ask you a question. Who was the sea peoples? Debatable, right? But it's fully recorded in the Kemetic record, right? All right, now, in the Hebrew record, the sea peoples is also linked with the Philistines. Y'all feeling me? Yes. Now, for some reason, this was a thriving city, and all of a sudden, people came in and started to wipe it out. I wonder if it's connected to the El worship. I don't know. We're going to see, all right? Now, though the site is thought to have been inhibited earlier, Neolithic Ugaritic was already important enough to be fortified with the wall early on, perhaps 6000 BCE. So this city has been here since 6000 BCE. And again, its heyday was 1800 to 1200 BCE. Now look at this, family. In the second millennium, that's 2000 BCE onward, Ugaritic population was Amorites. And the Ugaritic language probably has a direct Amorite origin. So the city was there for about 6000 BCE. Then about 3000 years later, we got these Amorite people coming into the city. And then about 800 years later, the city met its destruction. Wow, that's interesting. How many people here know what the Amorites are according to the text? This thing starting to sound kind of interesting there. No? Not yet? Let's keep going. See, pull this off, right? The last Bronze Age king of Ugaritic was Hammurabi from 1215 to 1180 BC. Was a contemporary of the Hittite king Sopoluliuma II. I'm good with Hebrew, but I don't know what the hell that is. The exact dates of his reign are unknown. Now look at this. However, a letter by the king is preserved in which Hammurabi stresses the seriousness of the crisis faced by many Near Eastern states from invasion by the advancing sea peoples. Interesting. Hammurabi pleads for assistance from the king of Alasia, who he's paying tribute to, highlighting the desperate situation we face. However, no help arrived. But don't y'all got some gods that can come help in? I don't know. And the city was burned to the ground by the end of the Bronze Age. Bronze Age is very important when you want to try to archaeologically date. Guess who? Abraham. Interesting. Well, let's keep reading. Apart from the royal correspondence with neighboring Bronze City monarchs, Ugaritic literature from tablets found in the city's libraries includes mythological texts written in poetic, narrative, letters, legal documents, such as land transfers, etc. The discovery of the Ugaritic archives in 1921 has been of great significance to biblical scholarship because for the first time it provided a detailed description of Canaanite religious beliefs during the period directly preceding the Israelite settlements. The discoveries of Ugaritic have led to a new appraisal of the Hebrew Bible as literature. Don't let the word literature throw you off. That just means a body of writings or works from a culture. Got it? Don't always mean fiction. You feeling me? All right, follow me. The foundation of the Bronze City Ugaritic was divided into quarters. In the northeast quarter of the walled enclosure, the remains of 3 significant religious buildings were discovered. Look at this, including 2 temples. Who? Baal and Dagon. These texts have provided the base of understanding the Canaanite mythological world and religious worldview. After its destruction in the early 12th century BCE, Ugaric's location was forgotten. Documents unearthed have revealed many parallels between ancient Canaanite and Israelite practices. That's very interesting, fam. But remember now, they only had 2 temples to 2 gods. But El Supreme, that sounds kind of disrespectful to me. I'm just saying. Let's look at the Ugaritic priesthood rituals. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because we're talking about a priesthood outside of the Bible. So is there similarities in this priesthood system of Ugaritic where the monarch doubled as the king and the high priest? And they had these altars and these temples that were built. Let's see if there's some similarities between their rituals and the Hebrew text. Okay, RS 1.0092 is a designation for one of the tablets. I'm going to read for you certain things in here, not the whole thing, because some of it is fragmentary. But this is about the sacrifices that this priesthood had. and they were doing rituals. From the text and those that will follow, it's clear that the primary act of the Ugaritic cult was the offering of bloody sacrifices and other offerings to deities. Under this heading are presented several texts that contain indications of a series of rites arranged in chronological sequence during a portion of a single month or the entirety thereof. Now look at this. 2 rams and a bull. A ram and a ram, a cow, a ewe, which is a what? Lamb, as a burnt offering. What? Burnt offering. Okay. They had peace offerings. Okay. When the sun sets, the king will be free of his duties. What's that? Oh, shoot. Prescriptions and sacrificial rituals. On the 14th day, the king will wash himself clean. That's the mikvah in Hebrew. Are y'all good with me? On the day of the full moon, 2 bulls. Oh, two lambs, a dove? Wait a second, man. Something sounds kind of familiar here. 2 kidneys, a liver, a burnt offering, a bull and a ram, and another peace offering? Am I bugging out? No, I'm not bugging out, right? This is something similar to something else that I read. I don't know. Let's move on. It's interesting. King will wash himself clean. More 2 bulls, 2 lambs, peace offering, liver, 2 bulls, a ram. Let's move forward. One more here. Hey, on the 3rd day, the gods ascend to the sanctuary. You know what that means? The gods ascend to the sanctuary? They had a Shekinah glory in their sanctuary. Oh, what? That's interesting. It wasn't called Shekinah, but they had this situation where they believed that the gods came and dwelt in the temple, and only the high priest, who was the monarch, could go in. He's going on the new moon, he's going to wash himself clean. It's going to be food grain and shekel of silver, 2 rams, a presentation offering, 7 calves, 7, and 14 ewes, 14. That's also tied to like a jubilee or something like that. I don't know, I'm tapping. And another ram. Now this is very, very interesting. Very interesting. Ain't nobody else interested by that? That sounds kind of similar to what the text was saying in the scriptures, right? Wow. Okay, we get deeper. If you want to read further on the Ugaritic text, which is a very great study, by the way, here's 3 basic books to get you started. A Primer on Ugaritic by William N. Schneidwin and Joel Hunt. Ritual and Ugaritic, where I got those pages from. From this work by Darius Candace. And we have Religious Text from Ugaritic, 2nd edition by N. Wyatt. All right, let's move forward. All right. Now, who were the Amorites? Because this city was thriving with a situation, because what the research don't show you is that they actually upheld El in a lot of the rules and scriptures that they had that predated the 2nd millennium BCE, meaning that the people was given reference to this high god or supreme god called El. Well, all of a sudden, these people move in, and the game started to change. That's interesting, right? Well, the Amorites, Canaan was the father of Sidon, first one, the Hittites, the Jebusites, and the Amorites. So the Amorites are from the lineage of Canaan, and who was Canaan's father? Ham, or Ham, right? Interesting. Amorite, a member of the ancient Semitic-speaking people, they're from the lineage of Ham, but they speak the Semitic language, who dominated the history of Mesopotamia, Syria, and Palestine from about 2000 to 1600 BCE. Now, you have monumental evidence, which is the archaeological record, that says Egyptian inscriptions by W.M. Muller called the land of east of Phoenicia and of north of Palestine the land of Amara. Now, you'll see a lot of these cognates in the Medunetia, or the Hieratic script, or you'll even see it in the cuneiform script that was shared during the Amarna tablets. Keep this in mind, because you got to look at it to see who these people are. So it goes on to say different things about how the Egyptians or the Kemites document these people, but I want you to pay attention to this. It says here, at present, it is not very easy to show the connection between the monumental or the historical Amorites and the Palestinian Amorites in the Bible. Now, I'm going to connect this for y'all. Now, look at this. Wakefield assumes that the Amorites are somewhere about the time of the El Amarna tablets, about 1400 BCE, descended into Palestine from the original northern habitations. He supports this by the fact that the only of those of the early biblical traditions which belong to the northern kingdom contain the name of Amorites. the Egyptian inscriptions indeed seem to treat the name of the original country Amor as a geographical term, always connected it with the article, the definite article, while Amorite in the Bible is an ethnic name. But what does this mean, Divine? That means from the vantage point of the Egyptians looking at Syria or eastern Palestine, they knew that area of the land of Amara or Amaru, which is the Amorites, right? And the Egyptians had depictions of these people, which is very, very interesting when you research that. But the important thing is that in looking at the biblical record, the Egyptian record, and even the Near East record, these people centralized in Syria, where Ugarit is at. And finally, something happened and they relocated to the Levant region. And these are the same people that only had the temple for Baal and who? Dagon, but no L. Interesting. Sound like they're running for something, right? I'm just saying. This is what it sounds like they're running for something. All right, let's keep moving. All right. Now I'm going to read all of this, but this gives you the central location of the Amorites. But what I will read is this. From all the cultures that talked about the Amorites, it said that the Amorites were a rural group, and they appear as nomadic clans ruled by fierce tribal chiefs who forced themselves into the lands when they needed to graze their herds. No culture ever spoke anything positive about these people. It's very interesting. The term Amorites is used in the Bible to refer to a certain highland mountaineers who inhabited the land of Canaan, described in Genesis chapter 10 and 16 as the descendants of Canaan or Canaan and Ham. Now, we're going to move forward. Oh, no. Let me go back to this book. Let me read this part. We're going to get to Hammurabi. It says here, some of the Akkadian literature of this era speaks disparagingly of the Amorites and implies that the Akkadian and Sumerian speakers of Mesopotamia viewed their nomadic and primitive way of life with disgust and contempt. Because what the Amorites were doing was that they were nomadic tribal chieftains, and they would go into any city. They didn't care about what religious system you had. If you had land for our cattle to graze, we're coming in there, and we're going to kill you until we're able to settle in there. No culture like these people, because this was what they were doing. Let's move forward. Everybody know who Hammurabi is? I know some of y'all might have heard of Hammurabi. Anybody raise a hand? Hammurabi. Y'all know what the code of Hammurabi is, right? Hammurabi was an Amorite first king dynasty of the city-state of Babylon and inherited the power from his father, Sin-Mabuhalit, in 1792 BCE. Babylon was one of the many largely Amorite-ruled city-states that guided the central and southern Mesopotamian plains and waged war on each other for control of fertile agriculture land. Now, why is this important? Well, the Code of Hammurabi is a well-preserved Babylonian law code of ancient Mesopotamia, dating back to 1754. It consisted of 282 codes, one of them saying eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth. Interesting. As rated dependent on social status, they deal with matters of contracts, establishing contracts, wages, transactions, establishing liability, inheritance, divorce, paternity, sexual behavior. All these things is on this stone right here. And this is Hammurabi right here giving tribute to God. Now this is interesting because this all happened right after they came into the land of Ugarit. And they saw the priesthood system. They adopted it as their own. And now when they started to spread out, they brought this information everywhere they went. More centrally to Babylon. So when you see this Code of Hammurabi, all of this has to do with the ancient priesthood system. But the Amorites, they messed the game up. You're going to see. Anybody ever wonder why the Most High singled the Amorites out for destruction? They got to study history and you'll get some idea of what that's about. Now, part 2 is a revelation. Oh, hold on. This is the good stuff right here. The revelation of the patriarchal priesthood in the Tanakh. Now, I give you all that history because as you start reading through the Tanakh, I'm going to point things out to you. Are you ready? Now, these are just, I cherry-picked certain scriptures. I'm going to read them, elaborate, and move on. I got to go through this because we run out of time. But follow what I'm saying, okay? In the Bible, we have the story of Adam and Eve, right? The serpent came to Eve, deceived Eve, right? Eve took up the tree, she ate it, gave it to Adam. All right. After all that happened, the Most High, before he judged the serpent and before he judged the woman, he went to Adam first. Called Adam. Okay. And he asked Adam what's going on. to address what was going on, but he casted the blame on the woman. Woman cast it on the serpent, right? Interesting. Why did he come to Adam? Maybe because Adam was the high priest in the garden. I'm just saying. But let's look at something interesting. Genesis chapter 3, verse 29, it says, the Lord God made garments of skin, or tunics of skin, for Adam and his wife and clothed them, because they had fig leaves. But how do you get garments of skin? What you got? You got to kill something. Oh, a sacrifice. So was this a prototype that the Most High was given to mankind in order to show them how to cover themselves temporarily or to atone for their sins? Interesting. Look at this. Genesis 1:4. Abel, on his part, also brought the firstlings, Bechor, H1060. Anytime you see H, that's the Strong's Concordance number. Go back and research. I'm going to show you so many different things, you're going to blow your mind. Of his flock and of their fat portions. How did he know to give a sacrifice? Well, the garments of skin was made here, so so the prototype was already laid out. And the Lord had regard for Abel and his offering, mikha, his offering. H4503, Genesis 4:7. He's speaking to Cain, who gave him the fruit of the ground, but not the sacrifice. He said, you do well, Yatab. You do well. That's following instructions. You do well. Will not your countenance be lifted up? And if you do not do well, look at this. Sin. But if you look at the Strong's, it's H2403b, which is Hatah, and that's a sin offering. Not sin. But if you don't do well, you're going to have to give a sin offering. A sin offering. Why is that not in the King James? Sin offering? How do you know to do that? Skin interesting. Genesis 4:26 says, to Seth, to him also was born, and he called a son, and he called him Enosh. Then men began to call Kara, which means to summon loosely. Because if you look at that same word and the other words in the Strong's, another term word is profane. Another is to call or summon. So it says men began to call upon the name of the Lord. But when we actually look at it, it's la kara. La means to call. Then we have the aleph, right? From kara. Then we have the bait, which means in, right? Preposition for in. It says men became called to call in Shem, or in the name of Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh. So now when men began to do, because something was going on at this time, they began to try to summon a deity in the name, or deities in the name of the Most High. So now men are profaning things. Now men are trying to start a religious system to call upon their God because something was occurring at the time. But let's see if this situation changed. Genesis 5:24 says, Enoch walked with God. Walk is H1980, which is halak. Walk with God, not just walk like, one foot in front of the other, but walk here, if you look in the Strong's, has to do with an accompaniment, with fellowship, with being next to somebody. And it says that he was not for God took him. Interesting. So he walked a lot. Look at this. Genesis 6:9 says, these are the records of the generation of Noah. Noah was a righteous, Sadiq, man blameless, H8549, Tamim, unblemished. That's what that means. They had to examine a lamb that was without spot, without blemish. So he was without blemish. Interesting. How did he know to be without blemish? In his time, Noah halaked with God. So now he's doing something similar to his great grandfather Enoch is doing. Interesting. Okay, look at this. Genesis 7:2. You shall take with you of every clean tahar animal by sevens, a male and his female, and the animals that are not clean, two, a male and his female. This is when Noah was preparing for the ark. Of clean animals, and animals that are not clean. Hold on. How did he know about clean and unclean? This is before the law. Okay, well, after the flood, Genesis 8:20 says that Noah built an altar to the Most High and took of every clean animal. What? And every clean bird and offered burnt offerings, Olah, on the altar. Where did he get this information from? This is priesthood stuff. That's what the priests do, right? Then it says, Genesis 8:20 says, then Noah built an altar. He built an altar. Then it says, Genesis 9:26, now Noah is blessing his sons, or Canaan is cursed because Ham was already blessed. Don't let nobody tell you that Ham was cursed. Never says it in the text that Ham was cursed. The Most High blessed Ham. So therefore Ham cannot be cursed. But Canaan was cursed. Now I don't want to get too in depth in that, but this will get to that. But the reason why I'm bringing this up because now Genesis 9:26, it says he blessed Baruch. Be the Lord, priestly blessing, the God of Shem. So now Noah's bestowing upon Shem a priestly blessing. But where did he get this information from? Are y'all following me? Let's move forward. Enoch, the celestial scribe. Anybody heard about Enoch being the celestial scribe? Yes? No? All right. Well, there's a book of Enoch. There's 3 versions of it. One is the Ethiopic, which is the best version. Best version is the Ethiopic version. Then you have a Slavonic version, which is written or translated twice in Russia. And then you have the Greek or the Koine Greek version, which is in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Now, the Ethiopic version is the best version. The reason why I'm saying that, because Ethiopia, you got to study Ethiopia. They're the best holders of a lot of this information that the Roman Catholic Church tried to destroy. Are you following me? But in that version, it says, Enoch relates the vision of the last days, the fate of the elect of sinners, and urges observation of the works of God in nature. So this is telling you what some of that book did. It dealt with the future kingdom of God, the last judgment by the Messiah, the Son of Man, who sits with the head of days, or the Ancient of Days. The holy and elect are rewarded, the heathen and sinners are destroyed. And he also talks about the eternal bliss of the righteous and the sufferings of the kings and the mighty and the sinners. Now we keep reading. In this story, he had a vision where he was shown the history of the world from Adam until the final judgment. That means eschatologically in the future. And then also, admonitions and predictions of Enoch was addressed to his children. So that means Enoch was given information when he walked with God. He was given information, and now he's given admonition or warnings or ways to walk uprightly to his children. Interesting. These admonitions, predictions of punishment of sinners, and promises of reward to the righteous. This is when he was teaching his sons. It says another speech of Enoch concerning the fate of the wicked and the righteous. Now, I'm going to move past this. I'm going to show you something. The Slavonic version says the same thing. But here's the interesting thing. It says here, Enoch was taken back on earth after he was brought up to the heavens for a vision. And it says, he admonishes his sons, tells them what he has seen in the heavens, gives them his books, and urges them to transmit these to others. Whatever, he relates to them what God has promised to men and what he expects them to do, and asserts there is no intercession of the departed saints for sinners. Now, listen to this part. It says, recapitulation, before this part, he is ordered to write 366 books down when he's shown his vision, all right? Now look at this, recapitulation of Enoch's life and doings. This is one of the later chapters. Methuselah and his brothers build an altar, and they and the people make a great festivity praising El, who had given such a sign by means of Enoch, who had favor with him. Now, if we keep reading the story of Enoch, we're going to see that he had conversation with who? With Noah. Because we got the same term, halak. The word halak is not used until Enoch comes on the scene, and it's not repeated again until Noah. Halak means accompanying it, fellowship, getting information, knowledge so you can do right. See? It's only associated with it. But look at this. In 1 Enoch, chapter 65, going at verse 11, it says, in these, they have no place of repentance forever, because they have shown them what was hidden, and they are damned. But as for you, my son, he's speaking to Enoch, speaking to Noah, the Lord Spirit knows that you are pure and guiltless of reproach concerning these secrets. Interesting. And he has destined thy name to be among the holy, and will preserve you amongst those who dwell in the earth, and has destined your righteous seed both for kingships and great honors. And your seed shall proceed out of the mountain of the righteous and holy without number forever. Interesting. Now, another thing in the book of Enoch is the Enochian calendar. How many people are familiar with this? Enochian calendar. Y'all do some research on this. Very interesting. So when I came to Israel, I was taught a particular way to observe Shabbat, right? I said, wow, this is cool, all right? Doing my little Shabbat thing. Then I started diving a little deeper, and I discovered another way to celebrate Shabbat. So first I discovered the sundown on Friday to the sundown on Saturday. Then I discovered that the Shabbat was the sunrise on Saturday and the sunset on Saturday. Then I kept doing some research, and I found out that some people keep the Shabbat on Wednesday to Thursday, because in Genesis 1, chapter 14, it says, let there be lights, asa, let there be lights, ma'arot, which is plural. Let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons, for days and for years. So now some people were starting to celebrate the Shabbat based on Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. Interesting. Then I discovered that there's another Shabbat, but that is dependent upon a particular calendar or calendrical system. Enochian calendar. So the reason why I'm telling you this. I'm not telling nobody here that the Shabbat that you celebrate is wrong. What I'm saying is, when you start to research this stuff, it will start to give you more explanation into what the Torah is speaking about. You following me? This is going to challenge y'all. When you'll get some time, research this. All right? Y'all feeling me? I see a lot of people sitting there like, oh, I'm talking about the Shabbat. Oh, I see some people get, it's okay. It's cool. Listen, nobody's watching y'all right now. I'm just looking at you. I'm just giving y'all some objective information. You follow me? Now, the important thing about this calendar is that you had 2 days of 2 months of 30 days and a month of a 31st day. That's how they did it. Now, that equals 364 days. You know, in our calendar system, you have 365.25 days. So that means after every 7 years, you'd be off a week or even more. You know how they settled that? What happens every 7 years in Israel? And I'm going to give you all the key of how this is fixed. What happens every 7 years in Israel? Say it loud. I can't hear y'all. The what? The debts are forgiven. That's like a jubilee, right? And on the 14th year is what? The jubilee of what? The land, right? So after every 7 years, the Day of Atonement is left out. That's not counted in this calendar system. Now, when I tell you this, after you do all your research on this, you'll see all of the Gentile converts trying to figure this thing out. I just gave you what it is because they don't see it from a Hebrew Israelite perspective. But do your research and let's move forward. But the reason why I'm showing you all this. Now, if you want further reading on Enoch and his conversation with Noah, where the Most High reveals him as far as eschatologically what's going to happen in the end time, the Messiah come on the scene, talking about the way to live righteously. Study the book called The Lost Prophet of Enoch, the Lost Prophet of the Bible, Enoch the Ethiopian. Did you know the Ethiopian church, the Hindu church, is one of the only institutions that reserves Enoch in their material? Everybody else calls it pseudeographical. Right? They put a spooky term on it. They don't want you to see what's in the book. The Ethiopians, as anybody comes to an Ethiopian who's a Hebrew Israelite or Christian, they will tell you that he is venerated in their culture. It's important because when you start to study other cultures outside of Israel, for example, if you go to ancient Kemet, you have Tahuti. My brother, who's Tahuti? Benjamin. Divine knowledge. He brought the wisdom to the masses, right? Interesting. And this was part of ancient Kush, Ethiopia. It's very interesting, and I'm telling y'all this. But let's move forward. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm bugged now. We'll see. But if you want to get a good translation of the Book of Enoch, the one that I like is called the Book of Enoch. It's a modern translation of the Ethiopian Book of Enoch by Andy McCracken. All right, so let's move forward. How am I doing on time? I'm fine? Okay, good. All right, now, Abraham was called from the area of Syria. Now, when Abraham was called from the Most High, where was he at? Where was he at when he was called by the Most High? No, he was? Somebody give me that verse. You say the Most High called Abraham while he was in Ur. Somebody bring that up in the Bible. No. I mean, where was he at? There was a location in the scriptures. Haran. There we go. Who said that? Raise your hand, brother. All right, Haran. Where's Haran located at? Does anybody have an idea? Syria. So the Most High didn't call him while he was in the Ur of the Chaldeans. Terah took his family north. When you study history, you'll see why. You had a people called the Gutians. The Akkadian dynasty was taking over this area at the time. Akkadian dynasty set up shop, but they took their power from the Sumerians. Sumerians was black people, right? What happened was, in this area here, where we have Iran, you had some people that lived in the mountains that came into the city of Ur and started to wreak havoc. Now, if I'm Terah, and Terah was a worshiper of other gods, he built idols. If I'm building idols for a particular dynasty, the Akkadian dynasty, and their dynasty is dwindling, and some more people are coming in, causing destruction, taking over, I'm really not going to have a lucrative business, am I? Because the God that I'm building is to the empire that was there. Now some new people is coming in. So you know what it's going to do? It's going to move me north to an area where the good teams are not taking over. So I can sell these idols and make money. You got to do research. Look outside the text and you'll see everything that's prompted, everything that's happened in the text. But the Most High called them in Syria. That's interesting because when we do the history outside the Bible, Syrian, Palestinian, cultural, religious, spiritual system, the people in this area worship the supreme deity whose name was what? El. Wasn't Yah, it was El. That's interesting. So El called him in the region where he was worshipped, not down here. Follow me, people, because you hear some people say that the Bible takes its religious spiritual system from the Sumerians, and that's not true. You got to study the Syrian Palestinian culture, and you'll see where a lot of the influence took place. So the Bible says, Terah took his son Abram, and the answer was right here. All you have to do is read it right here. But his grandson Lot, Haran, Lot, the son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, the wife of his son Abraham, together they set out from Ur the Chaldeans to go to Canaan. So before they went directly to Canaan, they made a stop north. But when they came to Haran, they settled there. Now this is something else interesting. When y'all get a chance, look at the name Haran and Haran. If you look in the Strongs, these are two different spellings. Because one time I had somebody say, well, isn't Haran the same person as the area where they traveled? I said, no. Read the Hebrew. It's two different spellings. And anybody who's a Hebrew scholar like Hebrew, you'll discover this. Genesis 12:1 says, the Lord said to Abram, go from your country, your people, and your father's household to a land I will show you. Now he was where? Haran, Syria, when the Most High called him. Interesting. All right. Then he says, once you go there, I will send you to the land of Canaan. So for some reason, the area that the Most High is calling him and directing him is the area in which he was supposed to be worshipped. Y'all feel me? All right, let's move forward. Let's go. Now, the priesthood references during the lifetime of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So some people think the priesthood was only during the Levitical time, and it's not. We're going to see this. Job 1:1. Now, was Job a Hebrew? No. He wasn't a Hebrew, right? But in the east, he was near Syria, where El, the god El, was influential. So when you study Job, you'll see that spiritual system that's enclosed in there, even when it talks about how the heavens are being formed and the earth. Job wasn't a Hebrew, but yet he knew some things about this priesthood system. It says that Job was blameless, Tam, where we get Tamim when we looked at who? Noah. He was upright, Yashar, fearing God and turning away, from evil. How did he know to do this? And he wasn't no Hebrew. Interesting. Okay. And Melchizedek, now we're going to Melchizedek now. I'm going to show you this. Abraham, well, let me just read this. Let me just read this and see if y'all get it. All right. Genesis chapter 14, verse 18. Write this down. And Melchizedek, son of Salem, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine, and he was a Kohen, a priest. But Kohen is who? Who's Kohen? He's from whose lineage? Aaron's lineage. As a priest, right? We get the Zadokite priesthood, right? But Melchizedek is called a Kohen, priest. You know, there's another term you can name somebody who's a priest without using Kohen. But why did the text use Kohen? Interesting. Of God Most High, El Elyon or Al Elyon, he blessed him. Who? Melchizedek is blessing Abraham. He's giving them the priestly blessing. And he said to him, blessed be Abraham, God the Most High, possessor of heaven and earth, and blessed be the Most High, so he blessed the Most High back, who has delivered your enemies into your hand. And then Abraham gave a tenth of all. But the word tenth there is masah, and that has to do with a tithe. How did he know to give a tithe to this man? Where does this information come from? Has nobody ever questioned this? Or y'all just overlooked this? That's not a big deal. Well, let's start seeing something, because after Abraham met Melchizedek, and Melchizedek was the king of Salem, but also the high priest. What did I say to y'all earlier about the Syrian Palestinian priesthood? The high priest was also the king, the monarch. He was in charge of the priestly rights blessings. Follow me, y'all. Now, after Abraham interfaced with Melchizedek, who was a priest of the Most High God, his life changed. Interesting. He had no real changes in his life until he met this man. And this man gave him a priestly blessing, the same blessing that Noah gave Shem. That means a priesthood was designated to who? The descendants of Shem. Well, if he's in the land of Salem, which is later on called Jerusalem, who was inhabiting that area? Shem and Ham, right? Together. Interesting. But let's see what parts of Abraham's life changed. Genesis 15:8 says, "O Lord God, how will you know why I possess it? Because the Most High told him that he possessed the land. Most High said to him, bring me a 3-year-old heifer and a 3-year-old female goat and a 3-year-old ram and a turtle dove and a pigeon." What? He brought these to him and cut them into and laid each on the opposite side of each other. This was the first sacrifice recorded that Abraham did. But it happened only after he met the priest. Are you following me? This is interesting. I mean, at least it blew my mind. Let's keep looking. Then it goes on and says, then in the 4th generation, they will return here, your descendants will return to Canaan for the iniquity, which is really H5771, which is Aban, which means the punishment for iniquity of the Amorite is not yet complete. Remember we read earlier that the Canaanites went and took over Ugarit, where the people there was worshiping El, but when the Amorites took over, El no longer worship, but Baal is, and Dagon is, and they built the temples for them, and then for some reason, some destruction is coming upon them because they forgot who El was, and they started to run into the Palestine region. They're trying to escape divine retribution. See, you don't know this by just reading the text. Let's keep reading and see what else changed. Now, look, Genesis 17. Now, when Abraham was 99 years old, Most High appeared to Abraham and said, I am El Shaddai, Halak, before me. Whoa. And be blameless, Tamim, without blemish. Same thing used for Noah. Now the Most High is saying, you got some information from somewhere. Now you got to walk uprightly before me. Somebody gave him the admonitions of the priesthood system for him to follow, and now the Most High had to call him to that standard. See? First sacrifice, the first time the Most High is telling him, walk uprightly before me and be blameless, after he encountered a priest. Before that, none of this conversation was going on. Interesting. Interesting. He said, I will establish my covenant with you and multiply you exceedingly, right? Because Abraham is not commanded to keep the priesthood statutes. He said, no longer shall your name be called Abraham, but now your name is Abraham. Now his name changed. Wow. What else keeps happening? Then he said, this is my covenant which you should keep to me and your descendants. Every male among you shall be circumcised. Now circumcision is taking place. That's a sign of the covenant between me and you. And every male among you who is 8 days old shall be circumcised. If he's not, cut off from his people. Then it says here, then Abraham raised his eyes, Genesis 22:13, and looked, and behold, a ram was caught. He's going to sacrifice Isaac, but for some reason the ram was caught in the bush. Now, I don't want to test people too much out here, but in the Torah, the biblical priesthood, what kind of offering was the ram? Come on, y'all. Y'all read Torah, right? Y'all let it down, man. It's cool. Go back and research it, right? But you'll see the type of offering that was in place of who? Isaac. And there's a reason why the ram was caught in all the animal. How did he know to go and sacrifice and get a burnt offering or la in place of his son? He knew now how to do this burnt offering. Very interesting. Remember we read the priesthood rituals from Ugarit? They was also practicing burnt offerings, and guess what was one of them? The ram. Are y'all following me now? Interesting. Interesting. It says, now Abraham took another wife whose name was Keturah. Please pay attention to this so you can follow me for the rest of the lecture. She bore him Zimran, Yokshan, Medan, and who? Who? Midian. Okay, now Abraham gave all that he had to Isaac, but to the sons of his concubines, one being Keturah, he gave gifts. H4979 is matana, which means bestowment or conferment. What does that mean to bestow, confirm? To give a particular blessing or a title to somebody. And we don't ask these questions. I just look at it like, wow, that's crazy. While he was still living, they sent them away from Isaac eastward away from Isaac in the land of East. So now, these sons are giving gifts, which are bestowments. to do something. And I highlighted Midian for a reason. Why would divine do that? I don't know why would do that. But let's keep it moving. In Genesis 26:4, Isaac is being spoken to, and the Most High says, Abraham obeyed me and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. H8451 Torah. Abraham kept my Torah. So, no priesthood. Wait, hold on. There was a priesthood, but it wasn't Levitical. But he kept the Hukaka, which is the statutes, the mitzvah, which is the commandments, and his charge. He gave him a declaration to do something. He's revealing this to his son Isaac. This is why he's being blessed, because he's keeping my Torah. There's no Levites here yet. Interesting. Genesis 20:17, he was afraid and said, how awesome is this place? This is none other than the house of God, which is the Pt1, which is the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. Now, the house of God is considered the gate to heaven. I'm going to say it again. The house of God is considered the gate to heaven. One more time. The house of God is considered the gate to heaven. Look at this. Jacob rose up early, took a stone he had on his head, and set it up as a pillar, and what? Poured oil. What is he doing? It's a ritual. Where do you get this from? So he's building a pillar. He said the house of God is the gateway, right, to heaven. Poured oil, and he called the place Bethel, which means the house of El. Not Yah, the house of El. You're following me? Yes? And he made a vow saying, if God be with me and keep me, he said, give me food, I'll return to my father's house, and I know that the Lord will be my God. Yod Hey Wah. Don't let that throw you off. This stone which I set up as a pillar will be God's house. And all of that you give me, I will surely give you a asah to you, or a tithe. Priesthood stuff. Jacob came safely to the city of Shechem, so everything was fulfilled. And to the land of Canaan, I forgot to put the strongs here, but he brought the piece of land where he had pitched his tent, and he erected there an altar and called it El Elohei Yisrael. El Elohei Yisrael. What is he doing? Okay, see. Then God said, Jacob, arise, go up to Bethel, the house of God, and make an altar to El. Then he said, when Jacob went there with his people, he said, yo, now y'all got to put away your foreign gods, purify yourself, and change your garments. What? In the house of El, you got to purify yourself, put away your idols, and change your garment. There's no Levitical priesthood here, people. Where's he getting this information from? And then when he went there, he set up a pillar, and he poured out a drink offering, the sack, and poured oil on it. What is a drink offering? Where's he getting this stuff from? There's no Levites here. Okay, so as we go further, Yaakov is getting old, bestowing things upon his children. He says, Simeon and Levi brothers, their swords are weapons of violence. Levi, swords are weapons of violence. Let me not enter their council. Let me not join their assembly, for they have killed men in anger and hamstrung oxen as they please. Cursed be their anger so fierce, that their fury so cruel, I will scatter them in Jacob and disperse them in Israel. Levi. This is before he came here. Before his descendants came here. Levi's going to be what? Cursed and scattered and dispersed. Is that by accident? I don't know. But it says, Judah, your brother shall praise you, your hand shall be on the neck of your enemies. It says here, Judah is the lion's whelp. It says here that the scepter, Shevet, shall not depart from Judah, but you do. As the Yehud, it says, nor the ruler's staff, which is one that gives the law, from between his feet until Shiloh comes. So Shiloh is only mentioned once in the Torah. Am I right or am I wrong? Anybody knows? Yes? Yes? Shiloh comes, but Shiloh is written in the personal noun. So referring to something. It's a messianic title. Comes, and to him shall be the obedience of the peoples. He ties his foal to the vine, donkey coat to the choice vine. He washes his garments in wine, and his robes in the blood of grace, which is signifying wrath, destruction, and rulership. Move forward. All right? Now, we're done with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We're going to Moses, and I'm going to read quickly through this. How much time I got left? Okay, 20 minutes. All right. Perfect. Exodus 2:15. Look at this. Priesthood references from the time of Moses. Look at this. Exodus 2:15, when Pharaoh heard this matter, he tried to kill Moses. Moses fled, settled in the land of Midian. Midian, at all places he could have gone. Now the Kohen, the priest of Midian, had 7 daughters. We saw this term earlier with Noah. And it said that they came to draw water and filled the troughs to the water of their flocks. When he came to who? Very well. Doesn't say Jethro though. Their father, he said, why have you come back so soon today? Moses was willing to dwell with the man as he spoke to him, and he gave him his daughter Zipporah to Moses. Now Moses is wedded into the priesthood. But his name is not Jethro here. You know what very well means? Friend of hell. That was his priest's name. Jethro was his personal name. And when you start to see it, the text makes it clear. Now Moses was passing the flock, and Jethro, his father-in-law. And father-in-law is mentioned personal names here, but the title name for his priestly duties is Reuel, the friend of El. Are y'all following? This is not by accident. Remember who Midian was? He was given an assignment. Interesting. All right. Now, 1:18. And Moses departed, returned to Jethro. His father-in-law said to him, Then Moses departed and returned to Jethro, his father-in-law. Again, connected father-in-law to Jethro. Moses had to go to permission after the Most High appeared to him and said, please let me go, that I may return to my brethren who are in Egypt and see if they're still alive. Now, why did Moses have to go and ask permission from the high priest before he could go into the land? Unless he was under a priesthood system. And it's a protocol. Don't matter what God called you, my man, you gotta come to the high priest and get permission. Y'all feeling me? Are y'all hearing me?
Yes.
Okay, I want to continue y'all for you. All right, so look at this. Now, after this calling from the Most High, after he was told to go, then Moses departed, returned to Jethro's father, he asked permission. He said, go in shalom, go in peace. Now it came about at the lodging place on the way that the Yahuwah met him and sought to put him to death, sought to kill Moses. Look at this. Then Zipporah took a flint and cut off her son's what? And threw it at Moses' feet and said, you are indeed a bridegroom of blood to me. So he let him alone, Most High, and at that time she said, you are a bridegroom of blood because of the what? Was the Levitical priesthood in yet? Was the Levitical priesthood in yet? Where's this coming from? How does Zipporah know to circumcise his son? What? How does she know to do that? Her daddy. Her daddy. And obviously Moses was missing to do. He wasn't doing something. Now that I speak to you, I covenant with you. Now you have to be circumcised. Isn't that what he said to Abraham? So when Moses forgot to do that, Zipporah had to remind him because the blood incident has to do with them coming back into the land of Canaan and wreaking havoc. Because there's other cultures out of there that are doing wickedness, that are escaping the worship of El. So she understood what the circumcision was. But there's no Levitical priesthood that's teaching her this. Okay, Exodus 5:1, Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh, said, let my people go. We all know that. But look what he said to Pharaoh. We want to go so we can celebrate a feast. Hagad. Oh, I'm sorry. Hagad is a feast. But you'll see the same word in the Levitical rites of priests. How did he know to celebrate a feast? There's no Levites here. Well, they were Levites. He wasn't a Levite. But guess what? He wasn't given the law or the book of the law. He wasn't given none of these things. So he knew about the feast. Now look at this. Then they said, the God of the Hebrews has met with me. Please let us go up 3 days journey in the wilderness and sacrifice. Where's he getting this information from? About God. Otherwise, he will fall upon us with pestilence and sword. Now look what Pharaoh says. Again, Pharaoh said, look, the people of the land are now many, and you would have me cease or Shabbat from their labors. See, Sabbath was already understood at that time that you need to rest from your labors. So let nobody tell you that Shabbat is only in the Levitical law. We're going to keep moving. Then it says here, God spoke to Moses further, because Moses needed some encouragement because Pharaoh gave him a hard time. I am the Lord, or Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh, and I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as who? God, H14:10, which is El, Almighty, or Shaddai. Remember when he revealed himself to Abraham after Abraham met because of that priest? He said, I am who? El Shaddai. He didn't say Yah. Interesting. So that means that the personal name was not known to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because something new was coming about. Okay, 12 and 16 says, on the first day, held an assembly, on the holy assembly, on the seventh day, no work shall be done. Exodus 12, 16 is telling you about the Sabbath before the law is given. Sabbath now. 16:22 says, on the sixth day, they gathered twice as much bread. Then he said to them, this is what the Lord meant, tomorrow is a Shabbat observance. Holy Sabbath to the Lord. So that means before we had the Levitical priesthood, there was people who had the priesthood that understood that you're supposed to rest on the seventh day. But there was no Levites here doing the Levitical priesthood. All right, let's keep moving forward. Move forward. All right, Exodus 18:1. Now, therefore, the priests of Midian heard all that Elohim had done, Exodus 18:1, for Moses and for his people. And the Lord brought him out of Israel. Now, look at this. Jephthah rejoiced over all the goodness which the Lord had done to Israel in delivering them from the hand of the Egyptians. Jephthah said, blessed Baruch be the Lord, who delivered you from the hand of the Egyptians and from the hand of Pharaoh, delivered the people from under the hand of the Egyptians. Now look at this. Now I know, I know that Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh, the Most High, is greater than all the gods. Indeed, it was proven when they dealt proudly against the people. Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took a burnt offering. Well, hold on. Jephthah was giving a burnt offering to El, because now he says, oh, now I know he's the great and mighty. He was already worshiping him, but for some reason, Jephthah didn't know that he was a supreme deity. Are y'all feeling me? Moses confirmed that for him, and then he gave a burnt offering and sacrifices the Bach for El. But he was not punished for doing so. A heathen cannot give an offering or sacrifice to the Most High. Can't do that because he'll be struck dead. But the Most High accepted his offering. Okay, Exodus 18:1, Moses said to him, the thing you're doing is not good. Moses walking around, trying to tell everybody what to do. Everybody's coming to Moses. So now, he has to put his priestly robe on, his high priest robe on, and say, yo, Moses, what you're doing is not good. You're going to weigh yourself out. Now, listen to me. Look at this. Verse 19. I will give you counsel, and who's going to be with you? El. If you listen to me, El is going to be with you, Moses. How was he able to tell Moses that? That's interesting. Then he says here, he said, El will be with you. You're going to be a representative for the Most High, etc. Then teach them the statutes, the laws, and make known to them the way in which they are to halak and the work they are to do. How did he know this? Well, he just bumped into Moses, but he started to see what Moses was doing. He started to put his high priest robe on and tried to structure Moses according to what he was doing in his priesthood system. Right? 19:5, going to 19:6, the Most High gives a prophetic notion to Israel, saying that you're going to be a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. But hold on, how are you going to be a kingdom of priests when I designate one tribe to be the priest amongst you? Unless at some point in time you're going to be scattered, and then I'm going to have to make all of y'all the sons of Israel. Let's go on and say the sons of Israel. Make all of y'all priests. At some point in time, all of y'all are going to be priests. Interesting. Then it says that Moses, this is Numbers 10 and 29. Hobah, pay attention to this. The son of Reuel, the Midianite, Moses' father-in-law. Moses talked to him and said, you are setting out to the place which the Lord said I will give to you. Look what he says to this man. Come with us and we will do you good. Well, hold on. Why are you asking the son of a high priest to come along with you when y'all got the Levites there with y'all? Y'all got the Levites. Moses don't care about the Levites. He's going to this man and say, yo, I need you to come with us, man. We're about to go into this land. Now we keep reading it. Obama says, nah, man, I don't want to go. I want to go back to my family, go back to my land. Moses is like, please don't leave us. It's as much as you know, but we should camp in the wilderness, and you will be our eyes. H5869, which is Ayin. But here is the iographic depiction of Ayin, which is figurative of mental and spiritual faculties. I need you because you're going to have some spiritual insights as to what's about to go down. But you got the priest, yo. Tell me about my man, what are you talking about? I just did this. Then it says, number 25, when Israel remained at Shittim, it says, the people began to play the harlot with the daughters of Moab. For they invited the people to sacrifice of their gods, and the people ate and bowed down to their gods. Israel joined themselves to Baal of Peor. Remember, they're in the wilderness, and Baal is the storm god. You need some rain. Remember, they was complaining in the wilderness, but they knew about the storm god, and if you worship him, maybe some rain will come down. Understand that. So they wasn't just going crazy and doing this to do it. They understood these principles. But look at this. After Israel joined themselves, the Most High caught wind of it, brought a plague upon them, and now it says, then behold, one of the sons of Israel came and brought to his relatives a Midianite woman. The person that was stirring them up was from Midian, where the priesthood was at. So she caught them to go after other gods, not El. Interesting, because what happens after that? What happens after number 25? What happens? What happens, y'all? Midianites are singled out for execution, right? Right or wrong? All right. It goes on. It says here, it says, be hostile to the Midianites, Most High saying, for they have been hostile to you with their tricks. They deceived you, and it says the daughter of the leader of the Midian, which was the woman who was the high priestess, who caused them to go after the other gods. Number 31 goes on and says, and when the Lord said to Moses, take full vengeance for the sons of Israel on the Midianites. So they made war against Midian, just as the Lord had commanded Moses, and they killed every male. Uh-oh, look at this. They killed every male. They killed the kings, which are the 5 Midian kings. They killed Balaam, the son of Beor. Interesting, when we read the story of Balaam. Balaam was a Moabite and a Midianite. He was half and half. But he understood the priesthood. He understood about the blessings. That's why the Most High used them from the lineage of Midian. Priesthood system. You follow me? All right, look at this. It says here, after you kill them all, it says, behold, these caused the sons of Israel through the counsel of Balaam to trespass against the Lord, blah, blah. Now therefore kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman who has known man intimately, but all the girls who have not known man intimately spare you for yourselves. You'll be like, wow, that's crazy. You're killing everybody, only leaving the virgins behind. That's interesting. According to Israelite ideology, if the Israelite man takes a woman of another nation, lays the seed in her, and they have offspring, is that child going to be an Israelite or the lineage of the woman? Israelite, right? So all the men are killed, all the virgins are taken, they lay seed in these virgins, but we're going to find out the Midianites didn't go nowhere. Interesting. It says here, this is the situation with Deborah. Now Heber, the Kenite, has separated himself from the Kenites, from the sons of Hobab, the father-in-law, and Moses. Now, where is Kyle? There you go. What's up, Kyle? I remember we had a conversation about this before, remember? Yeah. Now, the Kenites, also the Canaan was a region or an area, but when you talk about Kenites, this was a common word that was used to designate different things. One of them was a tribe from out of Midian. Okay? Just throwing it that way, just a little curveball. You know what we're talking about. What was there at the barbecue? Y'all know exactly what went down. But anyway, yeah, he gave me a whooping, right? I was joking. But all right, so look. So it says here, this is the story with Deborah, but what I'm showing you here is that Heber the Kenite has separated himself from the Kenites. So we had one person who was separating himself from the lineage of Midian because he did not want to partake on the things that were taking place during this time. Now I'm showing you this for a reason, because when we keep jumping on, the Midianites are still here, and this is in Judges. This is in Judges. This is in Judges. When we go to Judges 1 and 16, it says the descendants of the Kenites, Moses' father-in-law, again, the descendants of the Kenites, Moses' father-in-law. Who was that? Hobab. Hobab was with the children of Israel. And the Kenites of the tribe that was with Hobab, whose father was Jethro, was amongst the Israelites. So that means all the Midianites wasn't killed. But here's the thing, where did they go? When they settled the land, remember we said, yo, I need you to come with me. And the text says, okay, he went with him. But it says here, it says, and they went and lived with the people. Where did they go? They settled with the sons of Judah. So the wilderness of Judah, which is in the south of Arad. Now the Midianites are settling in with Judah. I wonder why. No other tribe. They're hanging with Judah. Interesting. So we looked at this story. Keep going on. Chapter 6. The sons of Israel, they were evil in the sight of the Lord, and gave them to the hands of the Midians 7 years. Eventually, Gideon was used, the Midians were subdued. Before the sons of Israel, they did not lift up their heads anymore, and the land was undisturbed 40 years when Gideon was there. Now we jump into the book of Samuel. Samuel was also talking to the Kenites. He said to them, go away, leave the Amalekites so that I do not destroy you. Why are they preserving the Midianites? Why? Why are they preserving the Midianites? So for some reason, even though some of them were getting killed off, a remnant is still being saved and was being asked to come with us into the land and then settles with Judah. They're not following me yet. But anyway, we go to 2 Chronicles chapter 2, verse 55. It talks about the genealogy of David, and it goes on and on. And guess who else it picks up in regards to the genealogy of David? It talks about the families of the scribes who lived at Gabaz, where the Cherethites and the Shemeathites and the Sukkothites, those are the Kenites who from Hamath to follow the house of Rechab. Kenites always being spared or reckoned of them, their families being notated amongst Judah. No? Not yet? Alright. So you know this history with Israel, kingdom is set up, David does the thing, Solomon disobeys, king is written to. Now when the king is written to, everything goes to hell. Right? Northern kingdom is first to go, second is Judah. But look at this. The end of the Levitical priesthood. Because now we know when they went into the land in the wilderness, the Levitical priesthood was established, right? Right? Priests were responsible. For some reason, we're not talking about the Midianites yet. Levitical priests. Now the Levitical priests are doing the wrong thing. But look what David says before this happens. He says about the Most High, you do not delight in sacrifice. Otherwise, I will give it. You are not pleased with burnt offering. The sacrifices of El, or Elohim, or a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart, O Elohim, you will not despise. He's putting forth a precedent that nobody picked up yet. But let's keep going. 1 Samuel 15:22, Samuel said, as the Lord of the Most High, much delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices, as in obeying the voice. Behold, to obey is better than to sacrifice, and to heed better than the fat of what? A ram. A ram. Go back and see what that ram offering was with Isaac and Abraham. Isaiah 1:11, now the prophets are coming because Israel's doing wicked, kings are acting up. He's saying, yo, Most High speaking to him, Most High says, what are your multiplied sacrifices to me? Talking to Levites and then the people. I have had enough of burnt offerings of rams. He's saying ram. And the fat of fed cattle. I take no pleasure in the bull, in the blood of bulls, lambs, and goats. Ezekiel 22:26. Her priests do violence, the Levites, to my law and profane my holy name. There's no difference between the clean and the unclean. Hosea 5:2. Hear this, O priests. Give heed, O house of Israel, for the judgment applies to you. You've been a snare to the people. Keep going. Amos 5:22. Even though you offer up to me burnt offerings and your grain offerings, I will not accept them. And I will not even look at the peace offerings of your fatlings. You follow me? Yes? Now, this is going towards the Levitical priest now. You follow me? Micah 6:6. What shall I come to the Most High and bow myself before the God on high? Shall I come to him with burnt offerings? With yearling calves? Does the Most High take delight in thousands of rams and 10,000 rivers of oil? Remember somebody poured oil before Moses came on the scene? Remember the pouring of oil? Shall I present my firstborn? Even my firstborn, because the firstborn was also dedicated to who? The Most High, right? The fruit of my body for the sin of my soul. Sin means a departure from Torah. That's what that means. He has told you, O man, what is good. That same word good there, the same word that Most High told Cain. You follow me? And what does the Most High require of you to do justice, to love kindness, and to halak humbly with your God? Now the priests are destructing worship, profaning things, going astray. Most High saying, now you're cursed. Remember that cursing that came from Jacob? Remember that cursing that came from Jacob? Talking about Simeon and Levi? You remember that? Yes? No? All right, go forward. Malachi 1:10. Oh, there were among you 1,000 that you should shut my gates, that you might not usefully kindle fire on my altar. I am not pleased with you, nor will I accept an offering from you. Saying this about the Levites. You follow me? He's not getting away with the spirit of his priesthood. He's talking to the Levites. Hosea 4:6. Everybody knows this one. My people are destroyed. They don't know me. Since you priests refuse to know me, I will refuse to recognize you as my what? Priest. And what the priests do, the people do. So now I will punish both priests and people for their wicked deeds. Malachi says, "O priests," he says there, "I have cursed them already because you are not taking it to heart. Behold, I am going to rebuke your offspring, and I will spread refuse or waste on your faces the refuse of your feast, and you will be taken away with it. But as for you, some other priests, you have turned aside from the way. You have caused many to stumble by the instruction. You have corrupted the what? The what? Of Levi. So I have also made you despised and abased before all people. Going back to the prophecy. Just as you are not keeping my ways, I'm just showing partiality. Now, in the midst of all of this, talking about the priests, banging on them, he's also talking about another priesthood. Exodus 19:5. Now then, you will obey me, my voice. I'm going to make you a kingdom of priests. We read that earlier. Jeremiah says, but this is the covenant which I will make with the house of Israel in those days. I will put my law within them. On their heart, I will write it. He says, I will forgive their iniquity and their sin I will remember no more. 11:19 says, and I will give them one heart and put a new spirit in them, or the ruach, and I will take the hard stone and flesh out, and they will walk a halak in my statutes and keep my ordinances and do them. Then they will be my people and I shall be their God. How is that going to happen when you're cursing the Levites? How's that going to happen? How's that going to happen? Some other priesthood, right? Some more things here about the renewed covenant, because now he's cursing the Levites, but he's also saying that, yo, I'm going to set up a system for you guys, even though the priesthood is being corrupt. He says, I will sprinkle you with clean water, and you will be clean. I will cleanse you from filthiness. I will give you new heart, new spirit. My spirit within you, and cause you to walk in my statutes. Deuteronomy 10:16 also talks about the circumcision of the heart. This is Moses saying this. Okay. Deuteronomy 30:6 says, moreover, the Lord your God will circumcise your heart. To do what? To love the Most High with all your heart and all your soul. Jeremiah 4:4 says, circumcise yourself, circumcise your heart, Judah and Jerusalem. Exodus 31 it says, 131:2 says, I have filled them with the spirit of wisdom. So now I'm going to give you my spirit, as he says here, and that's going to give you wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, so you can walk in my precepts and follow my Torah. Are you following me? Okay? So Moses went out to the people, gave them the words of the Lord, and when he gathered the 70 elders, the spirit was taken over him and given to the elders. Now we have the imbuing of the spirit. And it wasn't just given to the Levites. Okay, you follow me? The spirit was also given to Nun, Joshua. He gave him the spirit of wisdom when Moses laid hands on him. Also, the spirit of the Lord came upon him. This is Judges 3:10. We're talking about who? In Judges chapter 3. Who was the Most High talking about? The Samson? What spirit came upon who in the book of Judges? The spirit came on a lot of people in the book of Judges. I'm going to give y'all that. Y'all take that. Yeah, okay, you're getting it. Micah 3:8 says, on the other, and I am filled with power, with the ruach of the Most High, and with justice and courage, to make known to Jacob his rebellious act. That means without the spirit of the Most High, you won't have the law in you, and you won't know what's rebellious to the Most High. But all of this is going to be done in the latter times, because the priesthood is being punished. But the Most High still needs the priesthood, because without the priest, you can't commune with the Most High. But they're going to be a kingdom of priests. Remember that? Not just Levi. All right? So now, some attributes of the high priesthood. When it comes, the high priest is going to be part of this patriarchal priesthood. And I'm going to show you about Midian. You ain't forget about Midian yet. Job 9:32, he says there's going to be an umpire. I wish that there was an umpire, a mediator between me and the Most High. Remember we read that the king priest was the mediator between man and the Most High? Job understood this concept and understood the priesthood to know that he didn't have access to a king priest. So that king priest could be the mediator between him and the Most High. You feel me? No? Job 19:25 says, my Redeemer lives. That means this priest is going to be on earth physically. He's going to be the mediator. Psalm 171 says, the Lord, or Yah, said to my Lord, sit on my right hand, I make the enemies your footstool. Then it says, Yah has sworn, will not change his mind. You are a priest. Who? This person. Forever, after the order of who? Now we saw Melchizedek in the face with Abraham. Abraham gave the gift to Midian. Midian was the holder of the priesthood. That's why the Most High sent Moses to Midian to meet Jethro or Reuel, who's the high priest. Now, Daniel 9:26 says after 62 weeks, the Messiah will be cut off. But in the middle of the week, you put a stop to the sacrifice and grain offering. That means whoever this high priest is, he's going to put a stop finally to the sacrifice because it was corrupted after their expulsion. You follow me? But in Isaiah 61:61, it says, this also, when the Spirit comes upon this person, He's going to proclaim liberty to the captives and freedom to the prisoners. The favorable year of Yah, which is the Jubilee, and the day of vengeance. So this is talking about a spiritual Jubilee that's going to take place. That's going to alleviate the captives when they're in captivity. These are all elements of the high priest that's to come, and it's not even from Levi. Interesting. Now, after they got kicked out of the land during the Persian captivity, they went back and rebuilt. Who were the three tribes that went back to rebuild Judah? Or who? Say it loud. Benjamin, Judah, and Levi. All came back. And remember, the Midianites were mingled in with who? Judah. Now, Judah, Levi, and Benjamin are the ones coming back. All the tribes is mentioned. Just those three. I wonder why. So this is history on that. So I'm going to get back. Y'all already know this. So that's Ezra chapter 1, verse 2. And I'm going to pause right here for 20 minutes, come back and go through the rest of this. And this part is the history of the intertestamental period, which is also formally called the Apocrypha, which means the hidden. 40 years of darkness were lied to by the Christian church and said it's all darkness for 40 years and then things just started happening. They're lying to you, and it's the reason why they call all of this history the Apocrypha or the hidden. And I'm going to reveal it to you in part 3 and part 4, and then I'll let y'all go. So 15, 20 minutes, take a break, stretch, get something to drink, eat. I know it's a little late, but I have to go through this part. Y'all got to go, that's fine, I'm recording. You know, the live stream is still going. But I want those who are here, I want to get your money's worth because now, let me sum it up right now before we get to the next part. Now what I showed you was, I showed you the priesthood outside the Bible, and I showed you that same priesthood that was outside the Bible was the same priesthood offering sacrifice monarch that was in the Bible, right? Well, it's not for the Torah. I also showed you that Abraham didn't sacrifice, his name didn't get changed, there was no circumcision, there was none of these things until he met who? The Melchizedek, the high priest, right? And the Most High said the Amorites going to be wiped out. What did we find out about the Amorites? What did the Amorites do to the city of Ugarit in the second millennium? They went in and they took over the priesthood system and they built altars to Baal and who else? Dagon, but no El. And then destruction came upon them and they ran into where? Canaan. And the Most High said, I can't give you this land yet because the punishment for what they're doing has to be complete first. Then I can send you in the land. But remember, Moses ran to who when he left Egypt? Jethro. What's his priest name? Priest name. He married who? And Jethro was what? A high priest. And what did Zipporah do to her son? Circumcision. He went to he had that permission to who? Jethro to go where? Down to Egypt. When he came out of Egypt, or while he was still in Egypt, he told Pharaoh we need to have a feast in the wilderness for 3 days and what? Rest from our labors. All this before the law now. He goes back, meets Jethro. Jethro brings him his sons and his wife. And then what does Jethro say to him? Moses, what happened? Now I know that El is what? Gadol, the high or the most high. And he did what? He gave a what? Sacrifice. No Levites. As far as the priesthood system. You follow me? Okay, now when he was going into the land, who did Moses ask to come with him? Obad, who was the son of who? He said, I want you to be our what? Spiritual insight. Interesting. Then they go and they settle into the land, right? Then what happens? Well, actually, before they went into the land, they encountered who? The Midianites. Because of they encountered the children of Israel had a Midianite high priestess that was amongst them, causing them to go astray. Then they went to go eliminate who? The Midianites, right? Now, when you look at the sexual rituals, they were having sex with the boys. The women were having sex with the boys. They were tainting the boys. They were also sodomizing the boys. And sodomy, on top of having sex with the boys, doing rites and rituals, even sacrificing the children, or the children was designated to be sacrificial to their gods. We'll see that when we start to look at who Molech is. Molech was what? Was known to be given what? Children were given sacrifices, right? Burning in where? Gehenna used to be a refuge for the sacrifices of Molech, right? All right, now look, priesthood now. So they wiped out those Midianites, but now we go into Judges and we see that Midian settles with who? And then now in Judges 6, when they act up, you raise up who? The Midianites to go do what? Oppress Israel. But I thought they was all wiped out. They wasn't. So this lineage of the Kenites were from the tribe of Jethro. who Bob was the descendant of, because he had a company of Midianites that was with the children of Israel. So the ones that he destroyed was not all of them, just the ones that was not with Israel. That's why, even though those women were taken and the men lay seed in them and they had Israelite children, we still had the Midianites there. Are you following me? You're following me? As time progressed now, these Midianites, for some reason in Samuel, they're not touched. They spared. When we see the genealogy of David, for some reason they happen to be there at the end, but they happen to be there. And the Most High is keeping the Midianites there for a reason. Then Israel goes astray. He sends the prophet to tell the priests what? What does he tell the priests? I'm rejecting you. I don't want your offerings. All of that stuff. But what he had to do was, for the people's sake, or the remnant's sake, give them a system that even though I'm rejecting the priests, that y'all may live, which is the spirit, which is the ritual cleansing, the mikvah, sprinkling clean water, and the laws of the Torah in your heart, that you can love the Most High and love your brethren. This stuff sounds really, really familiar, really interesting. But during the intertestamental period, we're going to see what happens to the priesthood. Because now does the priesthood come about? Do they flourish? Remember Enoch was talking to Noah? Remember I told you about Enoch talking to Noah? And then we start to see words like halak with Enoch and halak with Noah. Noah was thought to be blameless, and he was upright because Enoch gave him that priesthood system. Enoch blessed who? Shem. And the Shemites were given the priesthood system in the land of Syria and where? Palestine, right? You're going to see this hidden history they don't want to tell you guys. Bad and stretch. Get some water if you want. You can walk out. I got 20 minutes, and I'm going to knock the rest of this out. Thank y'all for hanging with me thus far.
That's right.
That's right. That's right. Love Yahshua.